Toy collecting may be an enjoyable hobby, but sometimes it feels like the bane of our existence. What do you buy? Should you buy more? Where do you stop? Where do you start when it comes to something new? I'm not really sure. And when I was trying to think about something to talk about on this week's stream, the thing that popped up to mind was like, can we have everything? There's a very obvious answer. And spoiler alert, the answer is no, we can't have everything. But, where do we set the limits? How do we set the limits? How does it vary from one collector to another? What are my limits? I don't seem to have any, but I got some friends backstage who are willing to join and have this conversation with the rest of us, and a lot of people already in the chat, which leads me to believe that this might actually be a better start time for the stream. But I'll start off by welcoming everyone to this late night edition of the Toy Connections online live stream, or TKO. And I say late night, but it might be morning or afternoon, wherever you happen to be. So I'm going to bring on the first gentleman waiting backstage here. He's almost at 20,000 subscribers, and he's from a land down under, bringing us great action figure news every single week. Welcome for the first time on TKO, UsualMike Television. Buddy,
hello,
how are you?
Thank you for having me.
No
hello, everyone
problem.
in the chat.
Yeah, we love the background behind you.
Oh, it's brilliant.
So what's your rank of Imperial Officer?
Oh, good question. What am I repping here? Our CM Punk shirt. So,
That's okay. What's wrong with the CM Punk shirt? We could play Cult of Personality on here if we knew that it wouldn't get taken down.
What a theme song.
You and I have not connected about wrestling yet.
No, I enjoy watching wrestling, but I don't collect a great deal of wrestling figures. I have maybe a handful, not a big collection, just a modest lot, because today we're talking about you can't collect it all, and definitely I'd love to collect the whole range of AEW figures that they've got out, but it's not going to happen.
Got a few right here.
Oh, so jealous.
You see Orange Cassidy there, and that's a WWE version of Christian Cage, but I figured it looked good enough. And there's a few here, and I got it transitions to WCW over here. So there you go. Yeah, and it's funny that Jordan from Canada picked it up. As I've often said, when I go TKO, it's very much the Britt Baker DMD type of thing. But it's great that we finally got to connect, because we talked a bit last year, didn't really get to know each other much, but you said you wanted to, collaborate a little bit more this year. And I thought, what a way to do it than to not even make it out of January and get UsualMike on the stream.
At my 4:30 in the afternoon, which is brilliant.
Absolutely. And I always say you're 5 hours. I always say you're 5 hours behind me, but you're technically 19 hours ahead.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the way it is. Because it's Sunday for you, right?
It is Sunday afternoon.
There you go, right? Where it's Saturday night for me, and it's after midnight for people on the East Coast. So, but I mean, I don't actually like the time that I stream. I just do it because nothing else is happening at that time. And then with Chinese New Year being a very important thing on my wife's side of the family, a lot of things kind of got, like, schedule wise, I had to be more open than usual. And then, of course, guests being in town, dinner plans be damned, lunch plans be damned. My son woke up really early today, so he went to sleep nice and early. Otherwise, normally I'd be putting him to bed literally like this second. So
that is it tomorrow?
Yeah, it technically starts tomorrow. Right.
Which is today for me.
Which is today for you. So there you go.
Right. The calendar, it's Chinese New Year, 22nd. Hey.
Yeah. It goes by the lunar calendar, so it's not a consistent day every single year. So I mean, I'm the worst at celebrating it.
The best. The new coins. The coins come out. Chinese New Year coins
right.
in my country. Oh, they're the best. They're the ones to collect.
Well, let's say hello to the chat. I mean,
hello, chat.
it's quite the outpouring of support right away in the first part of the stream, but hopefully I don't miss anybody here. But Masterversal Toy Hunter, always glad to see you. Ostradamus Toys on a surprise stream. Quip has joined us, even though it's late in that time zone. Who else we got here? Shiny Plastic People. Sergeant Slaughterhouse. Speaking of people from your part of the world there.
And down under.
Yeah, and Land Down Under, and actually did 2 streams earlier today with Sergeant Slaughter himself, the living legend, and Slaughter daughter Kelly. So there you go. Figuratively speaking, thank you for joining. Classify, joining from the other stream earlier. Jordan from Canada, always glad to have your support. Gazz, one of the channel members. Wow, busy. Radical Toys from a chat group that we happen to be in. T-Fan Page 101, who's just across the water from me. Thanks for joining in. Brian, gosh, go figure. Adam is here. Rob Vegas is here. Another person from a land down under who can join at this particular time. Because I know for him, I usually stream when he's asleep as well. So, yeah. And then, gosh, who else is there? Scrolling. We got Carol Geis, highly articulated, who's actually waiting backstage to be let in on camera. We'll get him in here quite momentarily. We've got Aaron Hardy, Johnny Sorensen, another person from a land down under who gets a chance to catch this one live. And he said it, not me. That was going to be if I had a theme song. All right. Can't play too much, otherwise we're gonna get the stream.
Big strike on it.
Yeah, shut down. I don't quite have everything, Zazel, but I'm trying a little too hard. Thanos Copter, hello to you. Hillian Dread, Ramen Toy, great toy company out there. SmokedHam, another one of the channel members. Gurez PC Glass, welcome. Ryan Sweeney, patron and channel member, always appreciate your support. Nolan has made it as well. This chat just keeps going. Jeff Morris, Joseph K.
You're on fire, Ken.
Yeah, it's like the NBA Jam game. Suddenly I'm on fire. I got to stream at better hours, right? So Obi-Wan Chingones, Joseph K. Did I miss anyone? Hope I didn't. But anyway, we got another channel to bring on here from his own highly articulated YouTube channel. He's been on here a few times. Fellow Canadian, also from the same province of BC. He's currently on vacation, but he made it. Adam, welcome, buddy.
Hey.
Aloha, everybody.
Yeah. This is UsualMike TV. This is highly articulated.
Mike's in space. I'm in Maui. So we're broadcasting from all over the galaxy.
Awesome. And I'm, gosh, where am I? Just in front of a collection, pretending to have everything. Gaz has already put a claim on the Canadian headquarters of Toy Connections. He's already put a claim on my Valkyrie, which is up there. My VF1S Super Valkyrie, which will make an appearance in a video. Hello, my buddies Customs. How are you? Well, gentlemen, I've had a brain fart. What are we talking about again?
We can't have it all.
Late in the night.
Can't have it all.
Okay. I'm playing possum a little bit. It's just I've got the thumb. Technically, I loaded the thumbnail only like an hour ago, so I can't have forgotten that easily. I just forgot where I wanted to go with the stream, and I was trying to stall for a few seconds there while I got my thoughts together. Look, Adam, I know we've talked about this a little bit, but like when you want everything, first question I want to ask is, how do you stop yourself? Where do you put the limits? How do you decide what to get over that other thing? Mike, first time guest, let's go over to you, buddy.
Where do you stop? If it's a necessity, you have to have it. Say it's a certain character that has a connection to you in a nostalgic way, that has to be part of your collection. Side characters, I've never made this one before, never know so much about that one. You can't leave that one. That's where I'd go with that. If I go back to the wrestling reference again, Cody Rhodes, great wrestler. I've always admired him. As soon as his AEW figure was there, I had to have it. But there's a few other characters around that time. I'm like, oh no, I won't get them yet. I don't know them well enough. So that's why I've left those ones in the sphere of collecting.
That makes sense. And you said Cody Rhodes right there, who is, I know a lot of people are going to say it, my prediction to win the Royal Rumble next weekend. Right. And I will be releasing a Wrestling History LJN Superstars, WWF Superstars History of Wrestling Series 4 video later this week in advance of the Royal Rumble to kind of get us into that wrestling spirit mood. So look out for that. Adam, highly articulated. Are you tanned down there? Speaking of being down under, I mean, another land down under is Hawaii. So, we just don't call it that.
I'm less tanned than I am sunburned. But I guess that's part of the way there, isn't it? I mean, it's the same idea, I guess. Anyway, I don't know what you guys are talking about because I'm not a wrestling guy. So you're throwing out names, you're throwing out events, and I'm nodding my head acting as though I know what you're talking about. But as far as like, where do you draw the line? I can, like you said, you and I have talked about this before. It's a golden age of action figure collecting. There's so much good stuff out there, and it seems like every day there's something more. There's another release. There's another wave. There's another version of something. There's an upgraded version. And my new mantra for 2023 is I can't collect all the things. So within that mantra, you have to sort of set expectations, you have to set limits, you have to have rules. For me personally, in the same way that sort of Mike has mentioned, when it's a core character, when there's sort of a nostalgic connection to a character, I'm thinking of Black Series Ewoks. I was like, I'm only doing versions of Luke Skywalker and Mandalorian characters. And then I had said sort of like, well, if they do all the Ewoks, I might. And then of course, Wicket comes out and they re-release Paplu. Yeah, they came out in that sort of exclusive pack. And I have no doubt that we're going to get, more as the waves go on, because that's 2022. They're releasing figures for 2023. So short answer, I don't know. I don't know the answer. It's such a loaded question because for everybody it's going to be different.
Well, that's a fair and a fine answer. And I don't know if I said it earlier, but I will put everybody's channel names or channel links in the description below. Adam, I know you were 50-50 about joining and then you were able to, so I'll get the description updated a little bit later on. I don't know if I said it earlier yet, but let's get UsualMike TV to 20,000 subscribers. He's very close. I don't know if I said that before we went live or after, but my memory fades me just like, yeah.
You did say it, Ken, and I will mention this, full disclaimer. I have 2 children that are annoying me, trying to get me to sort of answer questions right in front of me. So if I seem distracted, just ignore me because
that's all good. If you got to tend to them, you do what you got to do, right? I mean, like I said, this was an impromptu pop-up live stream where I was kind of like, I'm sitting there having dinner and I'm like, you know what I'm going to do later tonight? I'm going to do a live stream. And I'm going to do it in 2.5 hours time. So, and I'm going to get the thumbnail set up and everything, as soon as I get home and get the boy to bed and everything. So I know what it's like.
I said, I'll tune in. And you said, do you want to join? And I said, I don't know. We'll see what we can do.
You're here now.
I'm here now.
You're here now. I mean, you said Luke. The thing is, I want every version of Luke Skywalker from Black Series as well. The issue is, obviously, some versions just get that face scan absolutely wrong and messed up. I love Empire Strikes Back, right? I want to get the the Hoth version of him that rides the Tauntaun, but that face scan is terrible. So my Hoth representation of Luke is the Snowspeeder version. Thankfully, we have that option, and it can still be a Hoth collection, right? Because that face scan, for whatever reason, is infinitely better than other versions we've seen of Luke. As for not being a wrestling fan, Adam, hang out with us long enough, and all of a sudden you'll be like, I got WWE Network, and I'm going to watch the old WrestleManias and the old Royal Rumble, and Mike will wake up to messages in his Instagram being like, oh my God, that was such a great event. Bret Hart's the greatest wrestler of all time, because he is, and no questions asked, undisputed. No. A lot of people are going to dispute that, but I won't dispute myself. So, all right. I'll have to ask Mike at some point who he thinks the GOAT is, unless he already knows off the top of his head.
Not really. No, it's changed over the years. I can tell you who I believe the best wrestler is today, and that's Moxley. John Moxley is
over Kenny Omega. Okay.
And Kenny's right there.
Okay.
But Kenny seemed to be doing everything in a tag team, so it's I want to see Kenny go alone
for
again.
A while. Oh yeah, you're right, because he was doing the trios tag. So you're right. Okay. Anyway, before Adam decides to say, okay, in bathroom break, you guys are talking wrestling. Let's look, the battle to get everything. I'll tell you the conundrum I'm in, right? And the people I'm in a chat group with, like Go Figure, Adam, Zazel, Gazz, Ryan, Sweeney, a bunch of us are in the chat there. Kelly's in the chat with us too. Phil from Treasure for Trigger, they always laugh that when I watch something again or when I watch something new, I end up buying the stuff, right? Like, I'm like, I'm gonna give Thundercats a try. Like, I literally was like, I'm just gonna, see how I enjoy the cartoon. I get about 2 episodes in, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go buy something, right? you know, I had never watched some movies as an adult before. Like, I'd watched Back to the Future as a kid on the Super Channel and all that. I'd watched Top Gun as a kid, and I didn't tune back in to watch them as a person in his like 30s and 40s, right? Then I watched those movies, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get the NECA Marty McFly. I'm gonna see Ramen Toy, if you're still in the chat. I'm like, oh my god, he's making a Maverick, and everyone's always busted my chops about like, you have absolutely no self-control. And I said, because my theme song right now is Queen, I Want It All. I just want everything, right? I don't have space for a flag. Got a flag. It's haphazardly kept in the garage. I've got a Terrordrome. I don't have room for a Terrordrome. It's haphazardly kept somewhere as well. Boulder Hill, Fortress Maximus, Grand Maximus, Earthrise Scorponok. And when someone says, hey, Ken, I got a Defiant, I don't even stop to say I don't have space. I go and say, where can I put it, even if it's not on display? And that's another thing. Do you gentlemen use space as a reason to not buy something? Let's go around the table again. Mike?
Yes, definitely the space is an issue where if they're going to start a line, they always seem to do sublines for any toy things. They'll be like, this comes in a box. Now I've got them on card back. Which ones do you collect? Which ones do you go all in for? And because you think, I've got to store these, I've got to put these somewhere, I've got to hang them on a wall, I've got to display them on the shelf behind me like you've got. It's that space issue is just like, it really put you on eggshells about where you're putting your collection. Because I don't want to put it all in tubs. I've got some in tubs. Okay, I've got a lot of it in tubs, but I'd rather put it on display so I can look at it.
Fair enough. Yeah, okay. So you definitely use the space limitation factor. The flag broke me when it came to space. I was like, I don't think anyone has, like, not many. Well, some people obviously have space for it, but there's a lot of people who don't let it stop them. They're like, I can put it in boxes, and I can put the flag deck up against the wall over there. And Adam, what about you, buddy?
Can we backtrack a second? Did you say that you didn't see Back to the Future until you were in your late 30s?
Okay, I watched it as a kid, and then I never got to see it through the eyes of an adult. It's very different being a kid and going, oh, Marty's pretty cool. Although that's a pretty cool car. Why is the dock so awkward? And then, like, in the past few weeks, I was like, I always tell people I've seen it, but have I analyzed it properly? Have I actually, like, do I actually know why I like that film? So when you go back and watch it as an adult, right?
You get the references.
You're right.
She's calling Calvin Klein.
Yes, you get the Calvin Klein thing. You get the chicken joke. You wonder why does Doc look? I know he's supposed to be older when you go back when he goes 30 years forward in time or 30 years back in time. He's supposed to look younger, but he doesn't look that much younger. So, yeah, and I don't know how this happened, but we've got a guest on the chat, and I'm not exactly sure who it is.
No.
Hi, hello.
Hello.
I think you might have the wrong chat room.
I was invited to talk about the Mattel situation and how Master Universe is coming to an end. Actually,
I heard that rumor.
I did too.
I wasn't going to touch this topic tonight, but since you're here,
the fact that we are actually having plans to discontinue the line. I don't want to upset anybody, but this is the reality of retail. We all have to understand that eventually good things come to an end. We just have to know this. You guys have to understand. It is very important to understand that everything comes to an end, people. It does. Our profit margins have not been exactly what we're not the $1 billion company we used to be. You have to understand this. We're all in this big, huge thing all together, and every now and then, collectors. We're all family, right? We're all family, sirs. sirs, and young ladies, any of them who are actually out there. I don't believe we actually have any lady people who collect anything outside of no. I apologize. Yes, I just want to tell everybody that our Master Universe line, unfortunately, is going to be coming to an end.
Okay. Your boss Fred was on my buddy Jay's stream recently, and he said all the same things that you already said. So clearly, you're the one who gets the memo later and brings it over to the lapdogs and lemmings, because Jay's stream, they get Fred. They get the supervisor of the department. I get Steve, the guy who hands the TPS reports to the other guy and his 8 different bosses and all that. So anyway, Steve from Mattel, so glad you could join us tonight. I was like, you took a left turn. Like we're like in the lunch break room right now, and the corporate office is over on the floor up there. But thank you for joining us in the land of the mortals and all that, and giving us the inside scoop on Masters of the Origin. See, I can't get the name of the line right anymore.
Masters in the Universe, please.
Masters in the Universe.
In the universe.
Right. And those of us who crowdfunded the Eternity playset.
I have to warn. I'm going to give a public service announcement. By the way, we may not have enough stock for the Eternities. They are actually in. Yes. Actually, I'm not supposed to say that. Sorry. I have. I really should not be here. Actually, this is not. Actually, this is. How did I get here?
Yeah. So the boardroom with the executives is like over there, right? Like usually, like I know, like Fred's your supervisor and he's way up there, and then you're kind of like that, not quite like almost upper management, but like middle management, aspiring to upper management at the corporate level. If you're seen talking to us, sir, I have to tell you, you don't understand how the corporate culture works. It's a very different type of situation up here. We have to make the hard decisions. Okay, you have to understand, things have to come to an end. If we continue with a line that just continues to favor the people who are only purchasing for people who to be on eBay. Okay. Actually, you know what? eBay's probably your best bet right now. That's probably the best place to purchase. Got it.
You always have availability on eBay. I'm pretty sure that's where you should be going. You should be going to eBay, I believe, because Mattel will survive on eBay. That's probably my best word. And I just wanted to come here for a public service, and just tell everybody out there, all the fans, that just be aware that retail unfortunately can no longer sustain the Masters of the Universe as
Masters in the Universe.
Correct. Masters in the Universe. Everyone's getting that wrong. It is the Masters in the Universe, and no, retail can no longer support that.
Okay, just make sure that the bosses and Fred and company don't see you hanging out with the lapdogs and the lemmings over here. I'll try to trim out this portion. Just put your voice only, because we wouldn't want to get you banned from that promotion and all the corporette bonuses.
You don't have to worry about me. I'm protected either which way. My 401 is just fine. We're okay here, okay? But we can't. We just can't afford to continue with Masters Universe at retail. And I will say as well that Fred, he is not a reliable source of information. You must rely on Steve. Steve is the only one who you can rely on, and I think I've said enough. So thank you, good gentlemen, and have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Shout out to Steve, working very late on a Saturday night.
Are those hours billable over at the corporate office over there? Because I'm a little shell shocked here. I'm like, so eBay is our best source. Like, if you want it all, you go to eBay, you search everything, buy it now. So like, kind of defeats the purpose of the stream, Steve. Like, we're sitting here having a coffee table conversation with our buddies, and he's sitting there saying, but you can have it all, and Masters in the Universe is going to end, and Eternity is going to be the last playset. Okay, so before our office got ransacked and used as a makeshift boardroom, where were we? Were we
Space danger.
Space Danger. Steve needs less coffee. At least he didn't crash the live. That's a Steve's alter ego crashed the live stream once upon a time inadvertently, and they had to restart the live stream over again. And yeah, he did a mic drop and spelled MIKE like usual Mike as opposed to MIC, because I think he literally floored Mike over there. So I know that's done on purpose. Yeah. We don't have to stay on topic tonight. We can talk about your grocery shopping list. We can talk about
Masters Universe collection,
Masters in the Universe collections, Valentine's Day gifts, anniversary gifts. Since obviously the collecting hobby is about to crash.
It's not sustainable.
Steve, you have my permission to snip that onto your own video and get it uploaded onto the official corporate amazingness website where you work. All right, cool. Sorry, was somebody saying something before Steve dropped in?
Space Danger was the topic. I can't remember what anybody was. I mean, Space Danger is a real thing. Unless you're in outer space, I suppose you have all the space you could possibly need. But I mean, my sort of Space Danger thing is if it goes in a bin, I probably don't need it. Once it's in a bin, it starts that sort of slow process of sort of losing favor within my collection, and I slowly
want to let it go.
You have to. You know what I mean? It's like it's one of those like really sappy movies where there's that really extended scene where somebody has to let something go or someone go, right? That it has to happen. That it's going to happen, but you just delay it as long as you can. And you try to justify like, well, maybe I'll need it for this, or maybe it'll fit into, another scene. And if I buy these figures, then I'll need these ones still. But the reality is like, once they go into a bin, I mean, Ken, I know you build your flag like once a year, right? I think that's kind of your thing. That's how you keep your flag relevant. Just say yes, Ken. But
once a year would be a compliment. It's more like once every 2. But
you make an effort to keep that flag relevant, right? You don't. It hasn't been off-site in a storage unit for 10 years, and you've never seen it. You still sort of try as much as you can. I mean, a flag is sort of a hyperbolic example because that's a giant playset, and no, they will never make a HasLab one. I'm just putting it out there. There's certain things that just take up so much space that they just don't fit in most people's collections as such, because most of us, let's be honest, have limited space to display our collections. So the competition for display space gets pretty fierce. And if you're a vintage collector, I think it's a little easier. You can kind of manage it a little bit better because you know what's out there, you know what you might want, you know what might be sort of next on your collecting list. So it's a little easier to kind of sell a couple things, buy a couple things. I'm primarily a modern collector. I'm primarily buying new stuff. I'm pre-ordering stuff, which I don't mind. Feel free to put your angry comments about pre-orders in the comments there. But every time I pre-order something, I kind of look at my shelf and go, okay, which of these shelves is the next one to go? Ken, you know this very well. I'm super excited for my Animal Warriors of the Kingdom figures to show up, and they should be here sooner rather than later at this point. I've already kind of predetermined which shelf they're going to go on, and there's sort of I have a placeholder shelf at the moment where there's figures there now that won't be there, in a couple months. So it's a real Space Danger is probably the harder thing for me than budget.
Huh. All right, fair enough. I got a couple things in mind, but Mike, you want to add to that, or?
For me, it's like with the vintage, especially. I only have about. I look over your shoulder onto is that your left shoulder, Ken, and I can see all your vintage GI Joes. Now I have 20 of them, and I know there's like 500 and something to collect. I've got a long way to go if I want to collect them all.
Right.
And in my life, I'm like, I want to literally add to it. I want to get that massive, but I don't. I'd have to sacrifice some of the modern stuff that sits in tote bins, and it's like I think one thing that I have is the entire run of 5 POA Force Awakens Star Wars and the 5 POA entire collection of Rogue One. They're sitting in totes. I haven't seen them in 2 years. Do I need them? They might be on their way out just to make some more room.
Now, are those space totes or regular totes? Are they on the
160-liter ones?
Yeah.
Massive ones. Yeah, that's where you can fit about 40 figures in it. Yeah, so they're quite large.
Now I don't know where Ken's gone, so let's just roll with this. Mike, we've never met, so I'm happy to meet you. Are you primarily a Star Wars collector? I'm just making that leap based on your background.
Oh yeah, yes. We're waiting for Vader, aren't we? Behind it.
Oof.
Yeah. My channel is mostly Star Wars news. I do some G.I. Joe news, and I do some Indiana Jones news, all action figure related. And I'm a comedian as well. It's like that's not a real one. Just I think I'm funny, so I make jokes in my videos.
Yeah. And sorry about that. Sorry about that, gentlemen. Steve from Mattel called and basically said because he crashed his dream, free donuts for the lapdogs, lemmings, and lackeys in the bullpen on Monday morning. So there we go. Mega J, you missed it, buddy. We had a surprise guest.
Welcome.
Earlier on. Some guy from Mattel named Steve dropped in and told us that a Masters in the Universe Origins is ending and that the Eternity playset is the last thing we're going to get and that we should go all on eBay to get all of our stuff, regardless of the price. Just hit buy it now, left, right, and center, and you will have everything you ever want. Just rack up that credit card bill, keep increasing the limit, and eventually you will accomplish what that Queen song says you will accomplish. So, yeah. Cool. You're muted, by the way. So
pressing buttons.
It's all good.
Hey, there he is.
All right. First of all, I figured out what that echo is. On my side, anyway. That was probably me. By the way, I can't believe you just said that because I was going to do this.
Okay, sorry.
And that was the case because we can't have too much of that. So, what the
heck?
Stop it. How's it going, guys? Who? Fred? Was it Fred? Who?
No, it was. I can't tell. I thought it was his underboss, like the supervisor under the supervisor of the corporate structure, Steve. But apparently Steve says don't listen to anything Fred says. So I think he wants his position, so he's going to sabotage him too.
These employees, right? They're cutthroats, right? If they're retail employees, they're cutthroats. They don't want to share with anybody. You know what I mean? Like you can't trust anybody. Having said that, every single one of the Toys R Us employees is my best friend. Just saying, because if you want to get the good stuff, guys, you got to get really friendly with Toys R Us employees. And you know what? That's gotten me in trouble. I've gotten a lot of people whenever I do my toy hunts. A lot of people are like, you know, the guy in the back. I'm like, maybe. I mean, like you just you got to do what you
go there enough. You eventually see the same people over and over.
Yeah, they know who you are. I mean, seriously,
they see you coming. They go, this guy, guy, he collects the toys.
Actually, you know, I've gotten on a first name basis with a lot of people. I mean, seriously, they're like, "Hey, Jay," it's like, "Hey, what's going on?" Right? They work there, right? You know?
It's legit though. I agree 100%, Jay. Like I've heard the people say the same thing. Like when I say, "Oh yeah, the guy," you know, I got a guy at Toys R Us, and when for me it's G.I. Joe Classified. When the new wave comes in, he sets one of each figure, one character aside for me, and when I pop in, he's like, "Hey, I held these for you." And when I hear the conspiracy theories of like, "Oh, they're hoarding them for their friends," and I'm like, I mean, I know this guy because I go there often, not because like I'm paying him off or like it's not a conspiracy. I'm just nice.
A backyard deal. It's not a secret underhanded thing.
Yeah, because he wouldn't get in trouble for holding stuff for you by his own supervisor.
Weekend? That's like if you ask them how was your weekend on a Monday, you're almost guaranteed to get a figure set aside for you, because most people don't give them the time of day.
Are you kidding? Most people shit on them. Oh, sorry. Most people crap on them. Okay, we
It's
got to be
late
careful.
night.
We got to be careful now.
It's late at night, it's all right.
In this new age of YouTube, we have to be careful, everybody. All right, we have to be very, very careful. One or two is okay, but anything more than that, you're kind of. I'm worried about Hatter. I think Hatter and the Angry Video Game Nerd, they gotta change their format now, because things are changing in YouTube land. But
They are.
No, you got to do what you love. Do what works.
I know. Well, you say that, but if you want to get paid, it is going to get a little bit dicey these days. But Adam, I totally agree with you. People just want to be people, man. If you say, "Hey, how's it going? You know, how are you doing? How's your day?" That goes a long way, seriously. But if you're like, "Excuse me, can you fetch that thing in the back that I need?" Go now.
Now,
Please go and fetch that thing for me. Please fetch it. You know, I deserve it. No, if you're a rude and sort of insensitive person, like, and don't argue with them. Seriously, guys. So honestly, don't say, "No, I know it's in the back. I checked the SKU." It's like, no, stop. Don't do that. If they tell you it's not there, come back in an hour. Come back the next day. Okay, you'd be surprised how that will help. If you actually tell somebody to go get it because you know it's in the back, 9 times out of 10, they're probably going to go to the back. They're going to sit there for like 10 minutes, and they're going to come back and say, "Nope, it's not there." That's probably what's going to happen.
You just gave them a free coffee break, is what you've done.
Is probably what it is, right?
Right.
That's
You know, they're on the radio going, watch my section. I'm going to go on a coffee break just to jerk this other person.
More like there's a jerk outside who's giving me a hard time. Would you mind shuffling around and pretending you're finding this for me? Because, you know, I just don't want to deal with this guy right now. Or they'll disappear on you completely, do something else that they need to do, and then come back and say, "Oh yeah, sir, sorry, I forgot you were here." Yeah, it's not in the back. Like that's going to happen a lot. Trust me. What's the old saying? Like, you get more honey with flies than vinegar. Like, come on, seriously, be sweet, guys. Don't be sour. That's basically what it really comes down to. People are people. You know, like retail is hard. All right, don't ever let anybody tell you retail. No, retail is hard. You know, you're dealing with rude people. You're dealing with people who just are not nice, and you're dealing with people who, like, you know, for whatever reason they ran a marathon before coming in there. It happens. You know what I mean? Like, you have to deal with these things in retail, right? And people are just not nice. And you know what? Give them a break, right?
Absolutely. Now, I guess, like you said, like, I've seen Toys R Us employees or Target employees or Walmart employees get pretty irritated because they're like, you know, it makes them not want to do it, even if it is there. And it makes kind of like ruins their day a little bit. Like, they don't want to come into work the next day, sort of thing. So I lost my train of thought for a second there. I totally had a good question in mind. Then all of a sudden I blanked while thinking about, was I ever rude to?
I want everything, Ken. I want everything. I want.
Well, that's the thing. I was thinking to myself,
buddy.
Was I ever rude to an employee recently? And all of a sudden I was like, I had to stop and think about it a little bit. Now, okay, got my train of thought back. Have you ever?
Is the answer that you were or that you weren't?
He's on the spot now.
Depends on which era of my collecting life it was. You know, 20-year-old Ken walking through Toys R Us demanding that thing is very different than 40-year-old Ken walking in and asking very kindly. But I will ask, though. We'll go around the room once again here. Can you enjoy a collection from afar, like, even if you really, really, really like a franchise? I mean, Mike, let's go back to you.
Yes, I have to, because in my country, certain lines are not available to buy in stores. So we live vicariously through Instagram. You see people, oh, look, they got this, they got that. Yeah, I think there's a guy on the screen right now who has a Zartan Master of Disguise. You just walked into a GameStop and bought it, I think. And I saw Jay get it, and I'm like, oh, wow. That's, you know, for me in this country, I've got to buy it like import wise. So the conversion plus the shipping, and you're looking at like $250 just for it to belong to me. You guys can just walk in for $39.95. Bam, got it. So that living vicariously is often very common.
Now, do you ever get the doubles? Like, because, you know, sometimes, Mike, because you being kind of like a growing channel there, kind of getting towards the bigger size channels, do you ever get like doubles, like when somebody sends you a gift in a gift box? Do you ever, like, all of a sudden, I already have this? I'll
have it pre-ordered for myself, and I'll open the box, and be like, "Oh, I've got this pre-ordered, and I've already." Yeah, it happens. It happens.
Yeah. What do you do then? Like, do you like? Okay, I guess I'll sell the pre-order one because I want to keep the gift from from
Oh
the buddy.
no, there's I have 3
Look at
power
you guys
droids.
flexing your big channel problems.
Three power droids in my collection.
Hold on, big channel right here, right? Pseudo big channel over here. Wannabe big channel here with his ring light and his blue lights and his collared shirt and all that. And smart guy over there in Hawaii, hanging out in Hawaii.
You know what? Since Adam already went there, and I know we're talking about something else, but let me put this into perspective, okay? Everybody in this room right now, I consider to be great channels, and the reason I say that is because everybody here, regardless of how big you are, everybody here is still humble as F. Okay, seriously, like forget about everything else.
True.
Forget about everything else. We're a bunch of freaking guys collecting toys.
Yeah.
How much more ego do we need? There's no such thing. Okay, anybody who actually gets into this toy drama, this whole idea where one guy's pitting another guy, just complete ridiculousness. Your ego's gotten too big for your brain. Calm down. We're just a bunch of guys.
Well, yeah, and you know what? That was my first experience of toy drama there with Steve from Mattel coming in, crashing the stream, giving us all that, and I was like, I'm sitting there in awe, like, okay, please don't crap on me right now. I'm just this little innocent toy collector who has nothing better to do with his time than oogle over action figures. So, I'm sitting there, I'm like, thank you for taking a break from your corporate meetings and all that, but you know what? That was my one drama in the toy space, so it'll be a while before I get into another one. Like maybe Fred from Mattel will drop in and
me and Jay, I think we've been in a drama. Me and Jay have been in a drama with the same person, but at separate occasions. It's the guy with the hat. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Flippy?
Yeah, Flippy, Mr. Flippy.
Mr. Flip, no, he's an island boy. He's an islander. Does GI Joe stuff. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Oh gosh!
No, it's Lord Voldemort. We're not talking about anybody like that. I don't know what you're talking about.
I didn't realize that there was actual like drama more so than just noticing his antics.
He's called me out. He's called me out. Something shocking there. I'm a fake news channel.
Wait, but by name or just heavily inferred because of something you did?
Heavily inferred because his channel is all GI Joe and mine has Star Wars on it. So when it comes to GI Joe, I don't know nothing about what I'm talking about.
Okay. Well, because he will only vague book. Well, first off, my channel's probably too small to be on his radar, but he might be a fellow Canadian, but he's nothing like this Canadian, that Canadian, or that Canadian, right? Or this Canadian, or this Canadian, or this, like there's a bunch of Canadians in this community.
It made me stop doing GI Joe news for a while. I just didn't want to get involved in it. I just was like, I just want to collect the figures. I don't need to be called out and telling me I'm a fake channel. I do exactly what everyone else does. I see the stuff on the internet as news and I report on it in my channel. That's all I do. If I get a bit of info like somewhere else, from an insider, they tell me, and if I say it and I can get it backed up, sometimes it's BS, but yeah. That's how I roll.
You know what? We were just asking. Can you appreciate a collection from afar? Well, he who may not be named. At some point, he was actually saying that that he couldn't actually get any of the stuff that was available, right? and he was admiring other people's collections. So on that note, yes, you can. I mean, I love Hot Toys. I love Hot Toys. I'm not going to collect them. I'm just not going to do it. It's just so expensive. My first dip into 1/6, honestly, it's dangerous. 1/6 is dangerous, man. This is some dangerous.
Oh, the Mondo stuff.
This is some dangerous territory you're walking into. Like seriously, like
is that She-Ra?
Yes, it is. This is She-Ra. Right,
Phew.
And
I felt embarrassed if I didn't know who that was.
This is one dangerous because honestly,
I'm with Mike. I genuinely don't know who most Motu characters are.
I'm pretty sure you know who She-Ra is, though. At least
that's an easy one, yeah.
But let me tell you, I'm waiting on my He-Mans on the border, and now I'm scared because all of the reports I'm getting right now for the QC on that one are scaring the heck out of me. So I'm hoping something comes out of it because He looks incredible, and like I said, this thing, I swear to God, for what I paid for her, I probably could have picked up another 6, other more like 10 other figures. It's crazy.
Did you did you get the nose problem on her or no?
I was lucky. I was very lucky. What I got though, again, QC, I got 2 hair pieces which were the exact same. So they're sending me a replacement headpiece. But they're sending everybody a new head. It doesn't matter. They've gone on record saying, because when you're spending 260, when you're spending it was $260 US. Here in Canada, that's close to like $320 after it lands, right? So it's getting crazy, and Mike, our prices are getting up to yours now. Like seriously, like in terms of what you're paying now, we're getting up there. Like soon we're going to be pretty much on par, and I'm worried about your prices too, because they're gonna get
ours are nowhere near the conversion of the US price. The US price, whatever it is in this country, it's just double.
Yeah,
and it doesn't make any sense. Like if it's $50 US, it's 100 Australian. But if you have a look at the conversion, we should be paying 75.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Why?
It makes absolutely no sense.
Hey, JLS Comics, if you want to connect over Instagram or something, would love to have you on a panel at some point in time as well. Not sure if I've already tried to message you there, but anyway, maybe we should. So, we've got Mike who says it's because of the conversion and the shipping and the exchange that makes him, from afar. He has to appreciate things from afar. Jay here says it's because Hot Toys would be something he enjoys from afar, but he caved on She-Ra. Adam, if you're not
that's Mondo.
What did I say?
You said Hot Toys.
Hot Toys.
Right?
Sorry, Mondo. The 1/6 Mondo.
Yeah.
I should know that. I kind of know one of their designers, so I should get that right. Mondo, just like the He-Man figure, because they've got the 1/6 form factor. Adam, if you're not being overrun by your kids over there, have you been able to just enjoy from afar and be like, I love this line. It can be one of my favorites. I don't need to have it.
Hot Toys is probably one. Or anything sort of 1/6. I just don't have the space for 1/6. When I dabble in other scales that aren't 6-inch scale, it's stuff like this.
Oh,
what the heck?
That's
what
awesome.
where I pick up just random stuff. This I actually picked up. There's a long story behind this, which I won't tell. But I got a great price on this at Target in Hawaii here. It's the only thing I bought on my vacation. But I mean, if it doesn't work for me, if it doesn't work in my collection, then I don't feel any real loss of not having it. As much as something like a Hot Toys Obi-Wan looks amazing. Can't have it all, right? And
you got lost for a second thinking about what it would be like to have a Hot Toys Obi-Wan.
I did a little bit. And I'm like, well, maybe one.
Be careful, Adam. Be very careful.
Well, that's just it. And for me, it's sort of like, I have, like I said, I have a predisposition to the 6-inch scale figure, because for me, that's kind of the ideal scale where there's a great balance between value and kind of articulation and accessories. And for me, the 6-inch figure tends to be kind of what I imagined in a 3 3/4 inch or a 4-inch scale when I was a kid, in terms of what it now offers with articulation, with accessories, with sculpting, so on and so forth. And then the 1/6 just kind of goes beyond what a toy is for me. And Ken, you and I have talked about this before. I mean, it's somewhat facetious, I guess. My collection's not behind me, as it normally is. But I always say I'm not a collector. I'm just somebody that buys a lot of toys. And for me, ultimately, it has to be a toy. And if it's too expensive, or if it's too big, or whatever, if it's not a toy, it doesn't fit my collection as such.
Okay, that's fair. Look, I mean, this is all helpful because I'm hearing a lot of informal tips about how to potentially curate the collection and make it make more sense, rather than, well, I'm just going to start with Lion-O, well, Mumra's pretty cool. I've always liked Jaga. You gotta have Tigra. You know, I need Chitara because it's a female in the line. You know where I'm going with this. Then Panthro.
And if you get Jaga, you need Ghost Jaga.
Well,
Wily Kit and Wily Cat. You know, Snarf.
Snarf.
Snarf. Hopefully not at $60. Not at the price of this. Snarf. No Snarf. No Snarf.
No Snarf. Not right
It's a
now.
good thing you didn't watch the Smurfs. You have a village full of Smurfs.
I'm gonna wait till Snarf goes on clearance. Like I'm seriously gonna wait and see what happens. That's just crazy. But what about you, Ken? I mean, you've asked us. What's your take on this? Can you collect afar?
No, absolutely not. If I like it, if I think it's cool, I'll get it, and I will ask. I mean, forget asking your spouse for forgiveness. I'll ask myself for forgiveness later. Then I just won't forgive myself, forget, and go rinse, repeat the whole thing. When I started collecting toys at the end of 2002, start of 2003, I said I was just going to do G1 Transformers, and that's it. And then the Masterpiece line came out, and then the modern stuff came out. Now, that is just Transformers, okay? Summer of 2003 comes along. I want to dabble into some Joes, just some, right? Just a small handful, right? And then I'm like, and then a while later, Marvel Legends is pretty cool. Let's do that. All right. I won't collect superheroes, but I'll buy the comics. Well, maybe just get some toys and maybe just the core X-Men team. Right? You can see Professor Xavier's the bottom of Professor Xavier right there. Right. Then, maybe I'll try out a little bit of Star Wars, not too deep. And then that all of a sudden that's a shelf. And then it just doesn't end. Then you get the modern Joes, like the Classifieds, Black Series Star Wars, now Thundercats a little bit. Adam from Go Figure there is sending me some Visionaries. Actually, his buddy and him are sending me some Visionaries, and I've got some there. And then I'm like, NECA's got some pretty cool movie figures. Maybe I'll just get that 1985 style Back to the Future Marty, and then throw in Doc and see if they get a DeLorean later. Then I watch a couple what?
Super 7 Turtles.
A couple Super 7 Turtles. I think I told you, Adam. I was. You were there,
Adam. You're not
Adam. When I started talking about turtles, I was like, should I dabble? And you're kind of like, yeah, do whatever you like, Ken. And then I'm like, let me just get the core characters, then a few more.
Adam,
right?
You're not helping.
No,
you're not.
He lives like 4 hours from me, right? So, yeah. So no, I can't. Oh, Hot Toys. I convinced myself to get back into them back in 2014, and I got some Avengers, Star Wars, Dark Knight. I just haven't gotten a chance to show them much other than my collection tour, right? And maybe one or two other short videos. I haven't gotten to feature my Hot Toys much. But let's say I've got channel content to make going forward. And on the subject of channels, the whole breaking news thing, I find that I'd like to be that guy, but I get more out of myself. Like personally, I want to be more of a history type of channel, but I find that there's more people who want the breaking news than the history they already know. Sorry, I'm deviating from answering the question here.
Honestly, Ken, truthfully, you don't have to be that guy. Like, myself, Mike. Sometimes we get, usually it's the community who helps us, right? They give us a tip and we report on it. But the truth is, okay, you can only do what's in your means. You can, like, if you are at work, right? If you don't work at home and you're at work, you can't do it. You know what I mean? And the other thing is, it's always that chasing of news, and then you get your critics, right, Mike? You get your critics, right? So you're always going to get your critics, right? Wink, wink. He or she who will not be named. You're always
Voldemort starts with a V. It's okay. Starts with a V. It's okay. We all get the joke. We all get the joke.
Lord of Snakes, whatever it is, right? So but the reality is, it has to work for your channel too, right? Because once you start down that road, people expect you to keep going, right? So again, you don't have to be that guy. I mean, I love what you do. Your retrospectives on retro toys, they're very extensive and well researched and well thought, and I think they're great. Right?
And have a long watch duration. You can watch that in 3 years' time, and it's the same thing. You watch breaking news 3 years from now, it's like, this is old.
It means nothing.
That's true. Like
wrong.
That's true. Like the breaking news thing, your sort of like shelf life is all up front. You'll get a lot of it up front, and then that history one is kind of like middling results up front, and then like this long-term crawl, but you're always crawling, right? Rather than the sprint at the beginning. But it kind of depends where your mind generally goes first, because I probably wouldn't have a YouTube channel if I had not watched some other toy historian types, like some of the big, like history of type of channels, and also the toys that made us, yeah. So
what a great show. What a great show.
Yeah.
I hope they bring that back.
Oh, totally. And Brian Volk-Weiss is totally reachable over Facebook.
I've watched that Star Wars episode maybe 10 times, I reckon. That's the go-to episode on Netflix. It's like, yep, go back and watch that again.
I like the Motu one, even though Motu is not like my number one line. I just like the way that one was made and produced, right? I think maybe because like you said, I love the history. So like when they incorporated big gym animals into Motu, right? That story for me came out later. When I saw the 60s Joes and 70s Joes roll over into Real American Hero and kind of got rebooted and shrunk down in size, when I saw Diaclone and Microchange become Transformers, learning that part about the big gym history into Motu was very heartwarming, I thought. So that's why I go back to that episode, because I'd largely forgotten about the big gym on the Tiger Trail, even though I think Jordan Hembrow said it on Toy Hunter, but that's not really a history type of show, right? That's more of a reality show.
I rewatched it recently as I sort of have gotten back into Ninja Turtles. But like, how heartbreaking is the Ninja Turtles one? Like the relationship between Eastman and Laird, and how it sort of dissolved, and like the episode in the end is really just the story of those two guys. You know what I mean? Like, and how many of these brands, when we sort of learn these things, and whether it's Star Wars in terms of how it got passed over and then got picked up and like people didn't see it coming, or like you said with Motu, like how certain lines sort of evolved into Motu, or how the Ninja Turtles was something that Eastman and Laird never saw coming, and sort of as a result, they had sort of, for lack of a better word, like a breakup. So many of these stories are so much more than the toys. And I think part of this, right, like part of, why we want it all is because we can make a connection with toys. Toy collectors can make a connection with toys. There's always more to it than the toy. It's always a matter of, we say I need it because we have such a connection to it. It's like, and when it's a toy, in some respect, it's a tangible connection with a memory of our childhood, and sort of whether that's a memory of a toy that we had, or a toy that we didn't have, or a cartoon that we loved, or whatever it is. I think most of us, when we need a toy, it's because there's more to it than just the toy itself.
Well said. With the deep lore connection, the emotional thing behind it. It's not just a thing of fancy colors and a cool character, right? There's a reason why, and people in the chat, agree with you, right? Great stuff, Adam. Well said, right? And a side note, Motu rules. It does. It totally does rule. So that's part of what's driving us to kind of want everything, right? And a lot of what you're saying is, some stuff I've heard from other collectors, some stuff's kind of new. At the end of the day, like maybe what it is that I look at the National Toy Museum of Canada that I did a tour on a number of months ago in Victoria there, and how they've got more space. Like that's more than just a toy room, right? Or like Toy Traders, although mind you, that display space, I'll never be like, I don't know anyone who's ever going to be able to get that display space. Adam, you've been there physically, haven't you, to Toy Traders, right? Yeah. Part of me is kind of like, well, one day when I get that space and I win the 649 lottery that I don't even play, I will get that space. And it's kind of like, well, if you won the lottery, you probably wouldn't sink it into something that's going to be even more of a money sink. You probably would be like, hey, son, you want to go to Harvard University or something like that? You know what I mean? You
Buying
know,
pieces of art and things like that. You want
buy a mansion for a relative and a mansion for yourself or something. Mansion.
You gotta raise another toy collector who can start.
There you
buying
go.
these for
Right.
you.
There you go. Or buy that mansion to put the space in your own, you know. I mean, because that's the sacrifice we make, right? It's like
You know what, Ken, and I'm just gonna be I'm gonna do what Adam just did a minute ago, and I'm gonna say that no, when you win the Lotto 649 or whatever the heck it is, the freaking whatever lotteries you're gonna win in any country, the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna splurge. You're not gonna freaking think about what you're doing. You're gonna freaking splurge. You're gonna buy whatever the heck you wanted, right? And then when you lose that first million, because you never win you never do win you can't just do it on 1 million. 1 million, then you're like, okay, yeah, this is great, but it's still not enough. Well, if you win a $60 million lottery, the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna spend the first million in like a day. That thing's gone.
Yes, you
All
will.
right? You're gonna pay off your mortgage. You're gonna buy that extra car. You're gonna buy every single toy you've ever wanted in your life. Okay, that first million is gone. Then you're gonna slow down. Your brain's gonna say, "What the heck? I just blew $1 million." Okay, and then you're gonna say, maybe I should get a financial advisor on this because my judgment is my judgment is not working right now. This is not a good idea, right? But the first thing you're going to do, okay, and you got to get it out of your system, all right? You got to get it out of your system first. You blow the first million, and then you reset. You're like, crap, I just lost $1 million, and then you're going to say, yeah, maybe I should think about my kid's college fund. Only one of you got to go to college, right? Like that's how
that's a problem. That's a problem for Adam.
Yeah, but Adam started it, so you know.
That's true. That's true. Oh, well, I mean, people in the chat, they're interested in this as well because they all kind of run into the same problem, right? I think for me, I struggle because like I feel like I've collected Transformers 3 times now. I've gotten G1. I've collected every character in the cartoon that I wanted to get, and that's not a flex. I've been at it as an adult for 20 years now, right? And you know, there's not much flexing that would come. The muscles have to come by me pulling the shirt up to pretend there's muscles in there, or stuffing something in there to make myself look a little bit tougher. But you know, I got to do some G1 stuff, and now I'm kind of buying like more esoteric G1 stuff. Then I got into the Masterpiece, and I got really, really deep into that. And then the whole, like, I know there was modern lines before, but it was War for Cybertron Studio 86 Legacy that got my hooks in the deepest. And now I'm kind of doing that again. And I kind of feel like I bought Transformers 3 times over. And it's like, did I need to do that? Like, I'm looking at the Transformers collection over there on that side, and I'm saying, why did I do that? You know what I mean? And then, of course, some of them I'm going back and buying the Diaclone versions of them. So now I'm kind of like dabbling in a fourth time. But you know, that's a bit different. Not every character was released as a Diaclone or micro change or pre-transformer. But those are pricey. They're hard to get. You have to go to a higher end collector who oftentimes is purging it because the box is not great. This one doesn't come with the instructions. The chrome's a little bit janky, and they're upgrading to like a museum quality, right? So they're going to want what they paid, you know, to get that. I don't know. Like, I just feel like I couldn't even set limits with the first line that got me back into collecting. How am I going to ever, you know, battle through this? Right? It's like, is it an addiction? Is it a healthy addiction? You know, is it just fun and just roll with it? Because one day we're all going to stop collecting anyway, right? I mean, better this than another vice in life, right? So.
I was going to say third time's a charm when you said I'm collecting 3 times it over, and then you said you're going into a fourth one. I'm like, oh, he's just crossed that boundary.
Yeah.
You know, you never really stop collecting. And you know what? Your question though is, do you ever stop collecting from afar? The answer is no. Eventually, like okay, this is a good example. Okay, right now I am collecting from afar currently. I'm literally doing. Some like it's mostly for the channel, but the reality is it's true. I'm doing a lot of catch and release right now. Okay, that's what I'm doing. I'm doing a lot of that, right? I'm catching, I'm finding, I'm calling like people who need it. I'm like, this is here, come and get it. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm putting it on my channel because I can't get it. It's just too expensive right now. There are just too many lines, which I used to. Okay, so I'm a real like this episode is really good for like it's like a support group for me. This is my support group right now because the truth is I am in rehab at this point because truthfully I'm trying to wean off the what you know how many lines I'm in? Like seriously, do you see what's behind me?
Well, what did you just unbox last night in terms of
What did
admiring from afar?
I literally I'm getting off of Ghostbusters now, right? I literally unboxed that beast in the corner.
Yeah, for those who didn't see it last night, I only dipped in and out of your stream, but it was the HasLab Proton Pack.
Yeah, it was
right, and it's got Spengler's journal in there, which makes it all that much cooler.
Yeah. But I had to buy the wand separately, and I bought the wand 3 years ago, right? So it was literally like it was prophetic on that level, right? I bought the wand 3 years ago, thinking one of these days they're going to make a proton pack, right? And what happened? Smacked me the side of the head. Yeah, we're going to make a proton pack now. I'm like, dear God, oh my God, you guys are killing me, right? And I had to buy it. We had to get it, right? Like it's just that thing.
Was it a lot in Canada? The price of it?
Yeah, I mean, like it was $3.99 plus the conversion plus shipping, right? It was ridiculous.
$9.99 Australian dollars.
Yeah. Oh my God!
Exactly. Really? Wait, that's a real number?
Yeah, $999.
Yeah.
Australian. It sold through EB Games here.
Oh, really?
Oh, you still have an EB Games? That's cool. Yeah, they haven't rebranded it.
Canadians complain about the conversion, but we don't actually pay like a cranked up conversion, right? Like I think, and I don't collect Motu, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure, Jay, I've watched enough of your videos that I know this. That Mattel Creations cranks up the conversion when they sell to Canada. Like the exchange is not correct.
So for Eternia, they did that. I'm not sure they did that for the WWE ring. Anyway, go ahead, Jay.
No. So Mattel Creations has gone stupid. Okay, like something's wrong with Mattel Creations. Like Mike knows anything for like anybody in the UK, anybody in the UK or Australia or anywhere else in the world, even Canada, their conversion rate is broken. Okay, it is not what it's supposed to be. Like Eternia was something stupid like $700. Like it was like $800, something like that. It was just dumb, right?
Wasn't it $12.50 shipped Canadian?
Well, Canadian. That's if you went through that route. I did not. I used the service to get it up here. Like, well, I will be using the service to get it up here. There's just no way I'm paying that price. It's impossible.
Okay.
And I suggest that to anybody who's but use the American price and get it over. Figure out your own way of getting it over here, because what they're doing right now is stupid. You have to buy it in American, get the proper conversion rate, and figure out a way to get it over to you. Because honestly, what they're asking for right now on Mattel Creations is dumb. Motu, more or less, were in line. Okay, more or less we're in line, and Mattel, to their credit, has been the last in line to bump up prices. Hasbro has lost their minds. They have had, it's getting up to 5, nearly 6 price hikes in the last 4 years. It is absolutely ridiculous what's going on. I mean, for crying out loud, it's what's it called? A Power Ranger is $45 here in Canada now, right?
Yep.
A freaking Power Ranger, which they own. They own the freaking license, is $45 freaking dollars. I don't want this to turn into, I don't want this to turn into a bash the company's kind of idea. But what I am saying is that I have to do catch and release now. I just can't, right? I'm helping people who need the help, because I cannot, I'm in a situation right now myself, so I cannot, keep buying these things. I just can't. You don't have to raise your hand, Adam. Just start talking.
I don't want to interrupt. I agree with you.
Tell me shut up.
I agree with you. I mean, the price hikes seem unjustified. My reaction, I guess, to the price hikes is a little bit different. For me, before a lot of these price hikes, I was primarily, very, very short sort of history of me collecting toys. I got back into Lego when my wife was pregnant with her first kid, and then by extension, I was in Toys R Us way too often, and then I got back into Hasbro figures. And as Hasbro figures prices climbed, I started looking at Mythic Legions, Super 7,
you might as well
Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, like some of these boutique lines, some of these smaller brands. And as the sort of disparity between those prices shifted, to the point where now, in a lot of cases, it's a few bucks one way or the other to get some of the more premium stuff. I started spending less of my collector dollars on mass market and more of them on boutique kind of collector brands. So in terms of, I can't collect all the things. So where do I want to allocate my money? And for me, coming back to the topic, you're welcome, Ken. Coming back to the topic, a lot of what I feel like I'm buying now is somewhat predicated on the brand, the people behind the brand. Like, who do I want to support? In a weird way, like a few years back, when everything shut down because of COVID, my wife and I made a very conscious decision to start getting takeout from restaurants that we thought, okay, if we can only support a few and we can only keep a few of them afloat, who would we be really disappointed if we couldn't get food from when this all goes away? And that's kind of how I spend my toy dollars now. Like, who among these people deserves my money? And less it's Hasbro. Now, I don't begrudge them for that. I don't know what's going on internally. I don't know what their costs are. I don't know if it's a margin thing. I don't know if it's a shareholder thing. I don't know. I don't presume to know. What I do know is that there's certain products from Hasbro that I really want, and some that I would have bought a couple years ago that I won't buy now because I'm buying, a figure from another line. I'm buying, another Super Saiyan Ninja Turtle, or I'm buying, an Animal Warriors of the Kingdom Payne figure, or I'm buying whatever, mythically. I mean, I could name things that people won't know what they are, but whatever, it doesn't matter. The point being, somebody asked in the comments, what do we all do to have these toy budgets? And I think our toy budgets are probably all very different, regardless of what we do. But the reality is, we all have a fixed toy budget in some respects. If there's more stuff offered, it doesn't mean that I can just buy more stuff. It means that I have to pick and choose what stuff I buy more carefully.
Well, that's where I am now, but before that, it was just like whatever, just I buy it and that's it. Like I'll think about it later. That's what happened there. But
future Mega J problem, right?
It was. Unfortunately, it was.
To borrow a term from Jay from Geek Dad Life.
He always says that future J problem.
All Jays have future J problems. That's just that's Jays.
So does Jay Bartlett.
We're all in the same boat. I mean, seriously.
But we're all in that same boat, right? Like that's the reality is that, like, as much as we would all like to have all the Hot Toys and all the Hasbro figures and all the boutique figures from every brand, you know what I mean? It's just not feasible for anyone on any level, because in this golden age of action figure collecting, there's just too much stuff. So at some point you have to pick and choose. You can't have it all.
But then Adam, that leads to the question, and for everybody, I think what many of us are coming into an issue with, especially now, because the companies have realized, right? We can probably ask Steve, but the companies have realized that nostalgia is very strong with this generation, and we're all suckers. We are suckers. We're all a bunch of freaking suckers. But there's the thing, and the shiny new object that that's the thing. But they realized that it can't be too far. Hasbro figured this out. It took a long time, but they realized now that it can't be too far away from the original. It just has to be just enough that it's something new, and that people recognize it and will buy it, right? Mattel with Origins really nailed it, because Origins was released, they had new articulation, and it had the original backing cards. People went crazy over it, right? And people out there are going to always say the same thing. Oh, the line's coming to an end, whatever. Okay, just whatever. Okay, it'll end when it ends. Okay, don't be in such a rush for it to end, guys. It's because don't be worried about it ending. Just enjoy it for the ride that we're on. Okay, but these companies really do know how to bait us. That's the real thing about this. And you know, Hasbro though doesn't know, like, you know, I'll say it this way: they don't know when to stop, right? Because they're trying everything nostalgia now. Like I personally like the retro line for G.I. Joe, but then they freaking went all the way back to O-rings. And you know what? I think they're regretting going back to O-rings a little bit, truthfully, in my opinion. Because if they were confident with O-rings, they would be in retail. Because it's just not.
I bought all of them.
Okay, fine. Like there are going to be some people who are all in on the.
I'm the mark.
Oh my god!
But the retro line was fine. The little 3 3/4 retro Joes were fine. They brought out 13 figures. I've got them all, and that was it. And then it's like they're done.
Yeah, I know. At least, and this was what I was going to say about Ken. You got to have the core. If you get the core, you know, because Ken's like, oh, Mumra seems pretty good. Oh, Wily Kit and Wily Cat. By the way, Ken, you're never getting Wily Kit and Wily Cat. Just deal with it, because none of us are getting Wily Kit and Wily Cat in our lifetimes. We're gonna have to wait until our grandchildren, right?
Why is that though?
Because Super 7 knows we're suckers. They know that we're freaking suckers. They know what they're doing. They're selling us a $65 snarf, for crying out loud. They know we're gonna buy it. Okay, they know it. Freaking what's that stupid the freaking cyclotron that Mondora is driving. I'm gonna buy that eventually. It's something I don't need, but I'm gonna buy it. I bought the freaking Thunder Tank, for crying out loud. Come on, like, where am I gonna put that thing? Where am I gonna? Yeah. Have you seen the size of that thing? That thing
must be influential.
Use it as a desk for work. Use it as a desk for work.
Jay, where do you park your car?
Where do I park my car? What car? I had to. No, I'm just kidding.
On the street. I gave up my car in the garage.
The bus. No, I'm just kidding. No, I have to once in a while. No, I'm just kidding. It's in the garage.
So your car goes on the street, and the tank goes in place.
Have you seen that though?
It's huge.
No.
I just figured out where the flag could go.
Oh yeah, there you go. But have you seen that? There are a couple of YouTubers who I've seen. Who actually have converted their garages to their toy rooms. I don't know if you guys have seen that yet. They've actually done it.
Long-term potential option for me right now. We've got the 2 cars parked in there, right? One of those cars is not mine. So if I had to convert it, right, it's not a Ken decision.
See, so look what we did, Adam. We've screwed.
That's a lot of unused space.
Ken, I hope you're married in 5 years. Like, honestly, just slow down, dude. Slow down. Do some catch and release. Okay, do some catch and trust me, it's worked wonders for me. All right, so just do some catch and release. Save that marriage, man. Like, seriously.
Mrs. Connections comes in and goes, well, I don't know about this.
Pretty much. That's what it is. But you know what? You know what you got to do though? You got to share with your kids. That's the excuse, right? You got to buy a few. You got to buy a few Motu Origins. That way they can bash them together. They're so cheap. Okay, is that Princess? Is that Princess Nessa?
Kanesha?
Yeah. Is that Princess Nessa?
Does she have a name?
Yeah, that's Princess Nessa.
They've all got names.
You don't even know who that is.
it's Kanesha or Kanessa.
Yeah, that's Nessa.
Yeah. It was $4 at Target. I had to buy it.
Look on the bottom. Look on her foot.
There it is. Nisa.
Her foot says Star Wars.
No, I know what it is.
Okay, you know it's an Ewok, right? But you don't even know who it is. That's Princess Nessa. Kanessa, whatever. I don't know how to say it.
I can't remember how to say it.
It's Nessa. It's either Nessa or Knessa. Knowing Lucas, it was Bob. I don't know, but seriously, that's an Ewok you got there.
Yeah, I know that. I love Ewoks. I had to buy it.
Yeah, of course you did.
Well, you gotta love Ewoks, right? Well, no, do you? I do.
Yes,
I do.
You do.
Okay, I do. All right.
If you don't love Ewoks, show me where somebody hurt you, because they are.
I love Wickets.
Mike knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
they're
right.
Lovable, adorable. You know, I know that people love to dump on them and say like, "Oh, Return of the Jedi got ruined because they put furry bears in there."
What are you talking about?
They're so good.
They beat the Empire. Come on. They
Not quite
beat the
single-handedly, but
freaking
yes, they did beat the
Empire.
Empire.
They were
Close
the
enough,
one.
Ken.
All right.
They were
All
so
right.
innocent in the universe. The freaking Emperor did not see them coming. They were pulled by the will of the Force to destroy to bring balance back to the Force.
Okay,
Mm.
two things. Okay, two things. The drums at the end. They had all those Empire helmets. All those helmets had heads in them before.
I was about to say that is so. I knew you were going to go there. I knew.
Second thing that doesn't get discussed quite as much. Princess Leia in the Ewok village is given a dress that fits her perfectly, which means there was a humanoid-sized human-ish, roughly that size, in their village.
They knitted
prior
it,
Or they tailored it on the
They
spot.
knitted
but
it. They knitted it for her.
They
Oh my
tailored
God.
it on the spot.
No, they didn't.
They didn't.
That's not.
Okay,
That's
we
not
could
what-
we could do a whole. Mike, you're the Star Wars guy. You tell us.
I think he's nailed it. They had to have had some visitors before the rebels got there.
All right.
Had
So
to.
you chose your side. All right. I'm gonna break this.
What
I'm
happens
gonna break this banter up for a second here and just say, Jim Largo, thank you for the super chat. He's got a great question here for the panel, and the fact that lots of new lines are popping up lately. It's difficult to pick and choose. How do you decide whether to try a new line or not? And Adam, you touched a little bit on who deserves your dollar more, and I know that that's probably part of the decision that came with Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm gonna throw this one. Well, let's go around the table in this one. We've got a little bit of time left. Mike, how do you decide when to try a new toy line if it's difficult to pick and choose and with so much popping up?
Well, there was one toy line that I really wanted to get into no matter what, and it's going back a while. The retro collection. I saw that, and I had to have every single one, and I have every single one they brought out, even the ones that don't. Hey, knock it off! I've got my son bashing the back of my chair. Sorry. There's like the Kenobi figures that came out. I didn't really want them because it's part of a line that I'm collecting. I'm all in on it, and now they're bringing out Return of the Jedi ones, which I really, really want. So it's just gonna flow. It's right for me. Where there's ones where I know I can't get them because of where I live, and those lines I'll just politely just go, I'll just watch from afar. I won't collect. I won't get into that. An example of that would be the Back to the Future Super 7s. I have 2 of those figures, which I won at an online toy auction. It's like they're the ones that like hang on the wall. I won't get the rest of them because I want there's Griff and Biff and there's a whole range of characters that I'm not going to get, but I've just got 2 figures and I'm happy with them. Muddy and Doc, that'll do.
Okay, Adam, you touched on it a little bit, but why don't you elaborate a little bit on your thoughts on this one?
How much time have you allotted for this?
You could go for a few minutes.
I'll keep it very brief because Ken, you know exactly what I'm going to talk about. My new obsession is Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. Jason at Spiro Toys, as well as Jeremy from Authority Figure, who's doing the tabletop game. I just kind of stumbled into the line a little bit, and then I ended up chatting with those guys, and it was just when I chatted with them, the more I talked to them about what they wanted to do with the line, what they sort of saw in terms of growth potential. The fact that it's a toy line that looks really, really fantastic. Anthropomorphized animal figures is my. I mean, I love Ewoks, so it's no surprise that anthropomorphized animals is right up my alley. But then to add a comic book line as well as a tabletop game, and then on top of that, they're just really, really nice guys. I went from sort of like seeing it in the peripheries and being like, oh, that's a cool line, I might pick up a figure or two, to being all in on that line. And for me, a big part of it is just, like I said, people that I want to interact with, like people that I would want to have a beer with are the people that I want to give my collection dollars to.
Fair enough. Okay. We can go back to that at some point because Animal Warriors is well, speaking of independent toy lines, I want to give a shout out to my boss here, I guess, Delta 17, Steve. Adam, you and Steve got to connect today. Lots of new stuff to buy today. Hard to pick and choose. I go with the ones with the best plots, not just great figures. Mega J, why don't you weigh in on this topic?
So it's here's the thing. I haven't I haven't really seen a toy line which has really inspired me yet. That I really want to dive into. I will say that Mythic Legions almost got me. It almost got me, but I missed out on Wave 1, and actually I'm pretty happy for that because I'd be what, 6 waves in right now, or 7 waves in. It's crazy, right? And that would have buried me because I'm collecting, like, I'm all in on Thundercats. Okay, I'm all in, and honestly, that's crazy. And then I really want Conan the Barbarian to finish, and I did a whole couple of videos the other day just talking about Red. Okay, fine. You know what? Fine. I'll go with that. Red Sonja, if they keep going with that, all right, because you know what, fine. There you go. Okay, Red Sonja. All right, Jesus Christ. Red Sonja. Okay, I just caught myself there. Red Sonja. Okay, might get me into somewhere. I Evil Eddie and Purgatory and Lady Death. That line of comics, Chaos Comics, I was not into that line, but Red Sonja could do it for me if they continue with Red Sonja and they pull out a few more Hyborian figures, from that line. I think I'd probably get onto that. I almost went in on the heavy metal turkey. I almost went in on that. That was a very
what?
The heavy metal turkey. You haven't seen it yet? No, you guys don't know. Okay, I call it the heavy metal turkey because it's the funniest thing in there. It's I can't remember what the name is. It was if you guys watched Heavy Metal the movie, it's the main protagonist at the end. She's I can't remember her name. Heavy Metal.
Oh, just in terms of the look.
No, not just the look. It's she's an actual character in the movie.
It's not a turkey.
Oh no, there's a turkey in there. Just do a quick Google search. You'll see what I mean.
Sounds delicious.
Hold on, let me just double check this. Yeah, her name is Tarna and Avis. Avis is the turkey.
Oh, the turkey. Okay, yeah. Brick something in the comics said the turkey is her steed. Yeah, okay.
It is. Like he's the cutest thing ever. All right, he's a naked turkey. Like he's been plucked. All of his fingers are gone. So look it up. You'll have a good laugh at it. It's what was it called? The name is Tarna, Taarna, and Avis, as in the car company. So look it up. You guys will get a good chuckle out of it. Anyway, I almost went in on her. I resisted though. I resisted the temptation because I loved heavy, like all of us. I loved Heavy Metal the movie. I thought it was it was really great as a film. But yeah, you know what? On that level, Loot Crate Collectibles. Loose Collector Collectibles. What a name! Loose Collector Collectibles actually is a company I'm keeping an eye on. And just like what Adam said, if there are smaller boutique companies, Ramen Toy comes to mind. Ramen Toy is doing some amazing work right now, and I hope by some miracle they're able to continue with their Silverhawks, and because I love Super 7. But you know what? And let me just say this, okay? Let me put it this way, all right? And you know what? I'm taking up more time than Adam was. Super 7's got to figure out what's going on because not too long ago, all right? Once upon a time, this was their level of head sculpt, okay? Once upon a time, that looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger, okay? All right? That looks like Arnold. Yeah. That looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger, all right? I don't know what's going. Look up Jason. Look up the Green Ranger pictures.
You touched on that last night as well. Actually, more than touched on it.
Do not be shocked by what you see because you will be shocked. So I'm hoping that Super 7 picks up their game again because once upon a time, and I don't think this was. I do not believe that this was the Four Horsemen. I'm not 100% sure. They don't give credit. They don't actually give credits to their sculptors anymore. Don't think so.
But the Four Horsemen would be busy with Mythic Legions, right? So I don't imagine. Or do they still take contract work here and there?
I think this was around the time where they had to part ways.
Oh, okay. Sorry, you're talking about back then. Obviously, it's not them now. What am I thinking?
This was,
obviously, it's not. Otherwise, Jason David Frank would look like Jason David Frank. So
yeah, this was 2020. So the copyright on this is 2020. So again, I think that they parted ways around that time. So I don't know who did the sculpting on this, but this is incredible, right? And I don't actually think the sculpt is the problem. As I said last night, I think it's actually the paint deco. The paint deco is just awful, right? So Super 7, figure out what's going on there because your human. I'm worried about the GI Joe line. I don't know about you, Mike, but I am very, very worried about the Super 7 GI Joe line because their prototypes look amazing, but when it finally comes to final production, I am actually kind of concerned. Right. But yes, to answer the question, it definitely is for me a line that has to really snag me, at least for some reason or another. And right now, Red Sonja is doing it for me right now. So.
Okay. And Jim, I've already like ad hoc answered the question, basically saying, how do I decide? I don't. I just sort of weak will, weak knees, weak heart, weak mind, weak credit card swipe, and overall, just I think I vented on Patreon once about how I might need an intervention, but I'm not quite there yet. You'll know when I need an intervention.
I think we all need an intervention. I think that's the problem.
I blame Ken for me getting into Transformers.
Yeah. Well.
And that's what justifies me when I'm chatting with Ken pretty regularly to be like, Ken, just get one Animal Warriors of the Kingdom figure. Just get one of the Thundercats Super 7s. You only need one. It's no big deal. Just get one Mythic Legions figure. You'll be fine. You won't need two.
Passive aggressive.
Sight beyond sight. See how Ken is in a year's time.
So you guys are going in on the Indiana Jones line at all? Yes? No.
I'm not. I'm not going in. I know you talked a little bit about it on your channel.
Yeah, definitely the retro stuff
ago.
because those original figures, try and find them at a decent price. Yeah. So I just want all these retro ones just to save me worrying about ever trying to buy a $700 carded figure.
I hear that a lot. That a lot of a lot of people are going in on the retro line, if nothing at all, or if nothing else, the retro line. For that very reason, for the sort of aftermarket price that some of those figures are coming at.
The 6-inch, because of the packaging, I might not. I don't like cardboard boxes. I don't do cardboard boxes.
It's because of the knee joint.
He's got knock knees.
I'm not a fan. I don't know about you guys, but I am not a fan of this. Decide when we're gonna give you guys plastic packaging. I don't like that. I mean, if either make a decision, right? But my preference, of course, is of course plastic. But just because, like, it's just proof positive now that if we yell and scream enough, they are gonna listen, right? Because their whole mandate right now is anything retro will keep its retro packaging. That's more or less what they said, right? Yeah. So the G.I. Joe retro is gonna what do you call these things? Are these like? I'm so confused now. Are these now the new G.I. Joe retros? Like
I don't know.
6-inch retros.
So these are now the new 6-inch retros, right? Yeah. These have taken over that moniker. Okay, fine. So I can go with all. So yeah, these will stay in their plastic packaging. So will the 40th anniversary Return of the Jedi. So will Indiana Jones. That is disingenuous to me to a fault. Okay, you can't just decide to say, "Hey, we've made a commitment to no plastic-free packaging. We have made a commitment," and then walk that back because you know what? We all yelled and screamed. As much as I appreciate what you're doing to go back on that, you guys have got to figure out your priorities because you're not exactly, for crying out loud. You make plastic freaking toys, okay? Like let's get one thing straight. You live and breathe on plastic, okay? Like there's.
Do you know what kind of compromise it is? They've left the plastic packaging for the fans, but they took the money from the government to put it in a cardboard box.
There's the key, right?
Yeah.
Because
so everybody's happy.
Yeah, the tax incentives are the ones that keep them going, right? Like crazy. Yeah. But here's the thing, okay? When they start making toys out of vegetables, I'm done. That's when I'm truly out. Okay, when these things become biodegradable freaking vegetables, I am out. Okay, if they start saying, "Hey, you can start eating your toys after you're finished with them," I'm out. I am totally out. That's it. It's over. It's over at that point.
But let's be honest. That's a top-down corporate decision that appeals to shareholder, the sustainability, the sort of eco-economic thing. And again, I don't know what's going on internally. I don't sort of begrudge them for any decision that they make. I think it was short-sighted. I think that a lot of us, adults, if you will allow it, Mega J's on mute, so he can't. No,
I was being nice. Don't say kidult. Don't Just don't. No. Stop.
I love it. I love it. I've bought in. I've bought in. I'm all in. I'm all in on Kidults. But
Steve's back.
wait, where did that Mattel logo pop up from?
What happened there? I think Steve tried to get in. What happened?
But the reality is, it costs them more to package a toy in cardboard than it does in plastic, which is like, I mean, they're putting their money where their mouth is. Like, it's not as though it's a cost-effective decision to go that route, which I find kind of interesting, but also ironic because so many of us are buying the bubble carded figures because they remind us of the kids that we had, or the toys that we had as kids. So when we see the toys, oh wait, we don't see the toys. We react very differently. Now, that being said, 90 some odd % of what I buy is ordered online, and I never see it until I unbox a brown cardboard box from ecollectibles.ca with a little message from Mike that's like, I hope you enjoy these toys.
He always does that. That's who I got this from.
He's great about that. But
that's who I got some of this from.
But the point being, if I pre-order everything, I'm not going through the peg and picking the best Payne apps. So, you know, and I also think there's this echo chamber of, like, you know, figure swaps or terrible Payne apps or QC issues or whatever. I think it does happen, but I don't think it's as widespread. I think there's locations that are really problematic, and there's other locations where you just never see it. In my life, I've seen one figure swap, and I go to the stores a lot. So, you know, the plastic-free packaging thing, I get it. I think it's marketing. I don't think it's anything more than that. I don't think the Hasbro employees, like, took a vote and it was like the majority said, oh, we want to go plastic free. I think it was a top-down decision. And I think probably a lot of the people that we see, you know, the marketing teams, are like, this is not a great idea.
Yeah, they know it's better than the CEO would. Yeah.
Well, it's definitely a forward-facing concept, right? They're not saving any money by doing it. I mean, like, they have all the tool and die for these existing packaging designs. It costs them a hell of a lot more money to actually produce these new boxes, and it's crazy too, because you would think that what they would end up doing is they would actually, okay, this is a bad example, but you think that they would actually make a whole bunch of similar boxes like this, where they're all squared off and, you know, Bob's your uncle. But no, freaking the Star Wars packaging has one angled one weird angle on it. The new what's it called? Indiana Jones has two weird hexagonal, you know, kind of angles, and you know, they're coming, and apparently these new Ultimates, are they called Ultimates? Something, the new Power Rangers that they just released, which are the exact same, by the way, practically the exact same things as these are.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're called, right? But they come with a few extra hands, and then, like, holstered and unholstered style weapons, and, you know, weapons that come, like the primary weapon that comes apart and all that.
Yeah.
So,
and you know, that has its own packaging, and it's gigantic. It's like, but here's the thing: it's also another more, like, I thought we were trying to save trees. I thought the goal was to save trees, right? You want unless this is unless we've perfected synthetic cardboard, we're revolving around the exact same problem, guys. We're replacing one problem with another, which has always been the issue with us human beings.
I do think it's recycled material.
Yeah, you know what? I question that myself, but
as do I.
Yeah,
but
the other thing, though, Adam, that I have to say is this:
devil's advocate shill position that I tend to take. You know, I trust them at their word. I mean, forgive me for that.
Yeah. I will agree with you, though, Adam. And you know, I'm curious. Whatever, like, Adam and I are having I guess, you know, an interesting idea here. What tends to happen is once. Well, I know. I'm asking everybody. What tends to happen is once news hits the floor, right? Everybody starts putting an eagle eye on these things. Okay, so all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, I got a swap figure, right? Like Tidarium Hanger, he got, you know, I think it was straight out of Target or whatever. He got a Diana which was inside his Hank figure from Dungeons and Dragons, right? And that became huge because, again, we are in a way a public face for many of the toy collectors out there.
Yeah.
So when something happens, we put a microscope on it. Pixel Dan had a broken hand on Hank, right? And everybody, there you go. And that's right, he got a replacement which had the exact same problem. It's just terrible, right? But this is the thing: we magnify these problems because we are a public. Again, there's no egos here, but we are a public face. We do actually represent the communities that we're parts of. So no matter what, we are part of the problem in a lot of ways, right? And I will agree with you, Adam. I do go to, obviously, I go to a lot of toy shops. I do go to a lot of them, and every now and then I will find a swap figure, but it's very, very rare. I'd say in truth, I find one, maybe 2 a year. That's it. And I know exactly where I'm going to find them, meaning that it's one dude doing them. So basically, it's not it's not an epidemic. It's not something that's going to.
I'd say it's Flipper Frank if he's in your area, but I don't think he is. I think he's closer to the West Coast. Yeah. And hey, can we give a shout out to Gazz? He's been working his tail off in that chat with all the links. He's finding them, and then and
good on you, Gazz.
Even the links that aren't in the description, he's putting in. So
in Australia, his name would be Gary, and Gary for Gary is Gazz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
If you're in Australia, if your name's Gary, you get called Gazz.
Oh, there you go.
All right, there we go. All right, that's actually cool. Yeah, because he found the ramen toy one, he found the Delta 17 one. He got everything in there. So good, great chat moderation tonight on that. So I feel he's always got my back.
Here's something I want to ask asking again everybody. Customer service, though, I think is a big deal for many for all of us, right?
Huge.
And I'm really wondering from Mike, is there any customer service if something goes wrong with your figures up in Australia? Because it's very difficult to get figures in general, right? So if, for instance, you get a swap figure, what is your recourse if anything was to happen?
If you're buying it online from the US, you're stuck with it. Yeah. Sending it back is a joke because sending it back will cost you $35. So if you buy it from a store, you can take it back to the store and they'll say, oh, yeah, where's your receipt? That sort of thing. But most of the time, online stores, they'll want it posted back before they want to see it. I don't think they take too many will take photos. Maybe some might, but yeah, it's got to be posted back to the online store before anything's done about it. And then it might get lost in the mail.
Oh my gosh. That is cool. That is so well. We have a lot of people just say this for first world problems, right? Especially here. Yeah. In a lot of ways, Canadians are blessed. I'm not gonna say we get to feed off of what Americans have. Okay, this is true. We and sometimes as of late, although some channels or some content creators will tell you otherwise, we get stuff earlier once in a while. Right,
we notice.
Yeah, once in a while we get stuff early.
You guys seem to get classified before everybody else, but
especially the sub teams.
The UK seem to get vintage collection in Star Wars first before anyone else.
Very interesting. Yeah. I wonder if it has to do with the fact that they actually produced many of the movies. You know what I mean? Like that might be some sort of connection. I don't know. And I imagine there's a huge market in the UK, but for whatever reason, we've been very, very lucky. Again, some people will deny it, but we did actually get Zartan up here once upon a time. Some
master in disguise one or the regular.
Some idiot found it, in the wild somewhere. Some moron found it, put it on his channel, was trying to get famous that way. I don't know. It happens all the time, right? But he was easily debunked by another channel, so it was all good. It was all good.
Speaking of debunking one another, we actually have a great question here in the chat that could almost make for a debate here. It's like new to the channel and community. Ken's Transformers #1 are arguable. I think I always say G.I. Joe is the better vintage line to me, but Transformers was more sustained throughout the years, so I got more exposure through it when I count the modern stuff. Okay, so fair enough. Jay clearly Motu's #1. I know he likes Thundercats as well. Mike is kind of known as a Star Wars guy. And Adam, what his #1 franchise is, obviously it's G.I. Joe. until Animal Warriors of the Kingdom has been out another 20 years, it's going to be G.I. Joe. But this almost makes for like a big four battle. Like, well, my line's better than yours, and my line's better than yours. Like, it almost feels like we could have made that the topic tonight, and that would have been quite.
Man, you don't have to be so modest. You know, Master Universe is the best. I mean, it's just it's what it is.
Bring that Steve guy back. Yeah, and GK3. First off, welcome to the community. Any and all toy fans, level-headed ones especially, are welcome to this community. I was gonna say any and all and leave it just period, but I got some weird comments lately, so I'm like maybe like in the comment section of my last video. So I'm not gonna say just any and all toy fans anymore. But also
weird comments.
We all do. Yeah,
it's normal. It's normal.
Yeah,
without it.
I had one threatening to call me out if I didn't do something. I showed that one to Jay, and that one was like,
I had a whole Bible verse in mine.
Wow. Okay. And thank you for the $4.99 super sticker there, GK3. Welcome to the jungle that is Toy Connections. And yes, you're right. The big three were Motu, Transformers, G.I. Joe, because Star Wars because Star Wars dropped out. And then when the big three started fading, then TMNT got big. So it's almost like there was a big five, but the three were simultaneous and contemporary to one another, which is why it gets that recognition. So anyway, thanks again for the super sticker. So gentlemen, we're just past the hour and 45 minute mark here. I know we went on topic, stayed off topic, but just had fun talking with a bunch of friends here. Before we wrap things up, is there anything that all of you want to kind of talk about what you're working on for your channel in the future, what you're hoping to accomplish in 2023? Let's go back to Mike.
So that was me. What I want to achieve this year. I want to get over the 20,000 to start with. That'd be good in subscribers. But mostly more consistency, because last year was very disjointed for me. I had lots of very long, kind of unplanned breaks, and there's things that were going on personally that were just difficult to get around on YouTube. But being a bit more consistent, people could, he's got a video out. He's got a video out, not just disappear for 4 weeks and then come back. That was very, very upsetting for most fans. I reckon they'll think, "What is this guy, a YouTuber or what?" So making it a bit more consistent and being part of live streams like this. So thank you for having me on, Ken. I appreciate it.
I'll have you on for at least one in February, because I know I can schedule it around the time you're free. There's a week and a half in there where I know I've got a weekend free, so I'll let you know. Anyway, sorry, keep going.
That's all right. What else would I like to do? I hope that when the Indiana Jones stuff gets to market, I hope there's like kind of a lot of outsiders who don't collect toys come into the market to make it a bit more exciting and like, oh, look at this. They brought back the old figures I remember from 1982. That I'm hoping for, because there's sort of like these Star Wars fans and Indiana Jones fans are the same thing. It's very odd. But I just want I want this movie to be good, so the figures sort of like everybody wants them. I want them to be desirable. I want them to be collected by all.
All right. So in other words, buy them all, collect them all. That's the conclusion of the stream tonight. Yikes. That's the conclusion I didn't want, but all right.
I love your Joe collection, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Chef's kiss.
Chef's kiss. Yeah. Or the Gazz way, the thumb kiss of the Megaforce film, which I just watched most of it recently. I missed some of it, but the flying bike scene is on YouTube, so I managed to catch that. Adam, I know you've got you do a lot of unboxings and you've got a few live streams planned, but let's talk a bit about what you're working on and what you got planned for 2023.
I'm not working on anything. I'm on vacation.
I know.
He's in Hawaii.
I'll be honest with you. I started doing this. I started doing sort of live videos in Facebook groups just to engage with the Facebook groups that I was sort of part of, just to sort of get conversations going and check in with people and sort of see what other people thought. To get comments and sort of go back and forth with people, and that sort of just naturally evolved to a YouTube channel, because there's toys that I love that I'm not part of a Facebook group or smaller brands or what have you. I do sort of a weekly thing, somewhat like this, and then during the week I usually open my toys. I don't know if they're unboxing so much as me just hanging out with people doing live opening of toys. I guess it's unboxing. Who am I kidding? It's an unboxing, but it's live. And I'm looking forward to doing more of that and just sort of growing my channel organically. I say that, but I'm sort of like, I say that in jest because I honestly don't care. I'm just doing it for fun. I'm just enjoying it. I'm having fun doing stuff like this, with channels that are far bigger than mine, that are bigger than my channel will ever be. And I don't say that humbly. I mean that genuinely. I just genuinely don't care.
You never know, though. The guy who sponsors the StreamYard here, Jody from GenXToysGeek, he had one video go to like 2.4 or 2.6 million views. So he went from 400 subscribers to like 10 or 11,000, pretty much off the strength of one video. And I think it was like one of the last videos he produced, right? So you never know what could take off, right? Usually it's got to be something unique that others haven't seen before. Because he did a very like interesting take on something. Anyway.
You're absolutely right, and I should mention that I do have one video that sort of defied anything related to my channel and sort of caught an algorithm, and it's one of those things where I kind of went, huh, so that's how this works. But genuinely, I'm just here for a good time. I'm enjoying doing the videos, and I just love talking toys.
Yeah. All right. Well, Mega J, I know I always say you go live every Friday at 10 p.m., but really it's Saturday at 1 a.m. So other than that, and unboxing HasLabs and whatnot, how do you make sure that you get your news out there before before UsualMike gets his news up? And how do you decide who steals the views on?
Jay does well. Jay does really good. He's out there before me.
If you really want to know, I mean, Mike wakes up about 24 hours after I wake up. I mean, actually, the truth is, I don't sleep. So I mean, whenever I'm awake, Mike is pretty much, we're both just crossing lines. No, it's not true. I mean, I've tried my best to. I always try to share information as well. Like, Mike, I sent Mike something a little while ago, like a few episodes ago, because you know what, it's something we need to let people know about, right?
I didn't even know you two knew each other.
Yeah, I told each other. I've had him on my channel. I've been on Jay's channel.
How long ago? Okay.
Oh, how long ago was on?
Well, we sent clips to each other, and we've been doing some stuff.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's been a while because I started connecting
a clip of him going to the GameStop to get the Zartan. Yeah, I used that clip in one of my videos.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was that. There been where at the end of the day, we're always going to cross paths eventually, right? And but as I said earlier, the reality, we're just a bunch of guys who love toys, right? Yeah. And as long as we keep it, like Adam's got the right idea, we just got to keep this fun, right? As long as you keep it fun and you don't let this get to your head. We're just dudes. Who like collecting toys. It doesn't mean
don't get a big. Otherwise, you'll end up on an island.
Yeah,
all by yourself.
All by yourself.
All by yourself.
It doesn't mean anything, right? It's a toy, for crying out loud, right? Just enjoy it. And then you know what? I'll go ahead and say this: all things come to an end. Everybody, let's just be truthful with each other. Everything comes to an end, but let's enjoy it while it's here. That's
some
really
things in April.
Yeah, April 1st for whatever reason, right? Come April 1st.
Was an actual day called out on that one?
I just heard first. He said April 1st.
Okay. Because I remember I was like, it might be an April Fool's joke, but when I said that, I forgot what day he said.
It was a follow-up video. It was a follow-up video.
Yeah. Okay.
But truthfully, if I'm hoping, truthfully, that we all reach our individual goals this year. I mean, we're all looking for bigger and better things. I'm hoping, and it's a futile kind of hope. It's like hoping gas prices will come down, but I am hoping that toy prices will normalize. I think I'll put it that way. I'm hoping toy prices will normalize because these are freaking toys, man. Like, and you know what? The reason why I don't want to talk about kidults anymore is because it's attached to an article that actually says that we helped, increase the market share for toys, and that is almost like an indicator to some market gurus to say, hey, maybe we should raise the price of toys because adults are buying toys now. You freaking idiots. Like, seriously, stop it. All right? We're buying
Thanks,
toys because we're
CNBC.
big kids. We're big kids. That's why we're buying toys, okay? Because mentally, there's a piece of me, right, that still wants to collect these things, and that's what it really is. But for future plans, no, you know what? I want to actually finish my stupid game room because, as I said, catch and release is my big thing right now. I'll find something. Even my last video, I don't know if you saw it, Adam, but I found this. I left them there. I couldn't do it. Like, Mike, I found Return of the Jedi. I found them all, and I was like, I can't do it. I just can't. They're so expensive. They're just so freaking expensive. I just couldn't do it.
You were just leaving one for the next collector on that video.
I called. Well, no, I'm not gonna lie. I did call. I called my group. I called my hunter group and said, guys, have at it. Like they're there. Run. Like seriously, run over.
I got the Boba Fett from that already, and that was 65 Australian dollars.
Then you're done. That's all you need.
That's all you need.
That's all you need. You already have the whole black series. The entire you have all the green boxes. I don't know. Just give up right now.
I'd love to do a video on the like the KOTOR era Star Wars folks, like the Revans and the Bastelas. I'd love to do that sometime. But anyway, all right. So we've seen what everyone's up to.
What are you up to, Ken?
Well, I've got the as I mentioned earlier, I've got the history of LJN WWF Superstars Series 4 1987 video, which is going to drop late week ish, probably 4 or 5 days from now ish, give or take. And then I'm working on a couple of top 10 countdown lists. Like I've got a 10 rare Transformers list, top 10 heroes of the 80s. I've got a few things on the go. There's like 8 or 9 videos that are all either filmed or partially filmed, and because when I run out of runway, I don't want to take too long of a break. So if I can't film or release something in a certain period of time, I'll have something that was filmed a little while ago. I like to do that every now and then. But then if it sits too long and my filming style changes, I go, man, that editing was not crisp or something. Because we're always improving, so we're always our own worst enemy. Yes. Right. I know a lot of you folks do mostly like talking head style videos, like Jay and Mike. Obviously, like you're mostly like almost always on camera. Whereas like I do a lot of voiceover, and then when I'm on camera is for things like this, or I just drop in for like the introduction and the outro or something. So we'll see. We'll see.
I did a voiceover once, and I didn't put my face in the video. And first comment, who is this?
Always got to be that one person.
You develop your own style after a while, and the problem is when you depart from that, people call you out. It's the funniest thing ever. But that's the community we've built for each other, right? We've actually built a community where people recognize what we do. And Ken, your videos are great, right? And Adam,
appreciate that.
Adam's going to grow. Adam's going to grow so quickly.
He is. Yeah. He's going to be the AWOC Animal Warriors of the Kingdom champion. So,
and Mike's going to hit 20,000 very, very, very soon.
19 and a half. He's there. Speaking of which, all the channels are in the description below. Adam, because we added you late, I'll get that description in. And I guess we're good to wrap up here. So follow these fine gentlemen across social media, their channels, keep rooting for one another. Be good to one another as collectors out there. And we will see you all again soon. Thanks to everyone in the chat for tuning in. We appreciate every single one of you. And for all of you catching this on the replay, we appreciate you as well. Keep it real. Keep it safe. Have fun.
Aloha.